So this is how the failure of a structure takes place. So if we are coming to here, in order to avoid these things, we are providing reinforcement. But to enhance this or to reduce this, if the crack developed is reduced, suppose this crack developed is reduced, what happens? This won't take place, right? The second thing won't take place. As a result, this deterioration or the corrosion of the reinforcement will also not take place. That's where the the advantage of this pre-stress comes. That is, if you are using this pre-stress, it will avoid the cracks. As a result, the failure of the structure will not take place. It will increase the strength of the member. It will reduce deflection also, which means a combination of these things will take place in the pre-stressed concrete. That is, we are initially pre-stressing the steel, and as a result, these things takes place. That is, we are applying the tensioning in the reinforcement. As a result, it will avoid the cracks, it will increase the strength, and it will reduce deflection. Now you are going to see how these things will happen. That is, how it avoids cracks, how it increases the strength, and how it reduces the deflection. So consider a concrete beam like this. Consider a concrete beam like this. So if a truck or a load is being applied at the top, what will happen? This will deflect like this, isn't it? If it is a simply it is PCC, what happens? It will start to crack where the concrete is being pulled apart, right? Where the tension comes, it will start cracking. Where the tension comes, it starts cracking. So in order to avoid that, what we'll do? We'll provide the normal reinforcement will be provided. That is, placing a steel rod inside the beam holds the concrete together and stops the beam from cracking. That is, this is what you have studied in your last semester. That is RCC. That the tension developed will be taken or it will be reduced due to this, or the load due to this tensile force will be taken by the steel rod. Now what I do is I will provide some extra tensioning to this reinforcement such that what happens is you're having extra stress like this. You're stretching the rod and then releasing it to squeeze the concrete. That's what I told you yesterday. You're holding you're holding a rubber band in your hands. Okay, I'll just on my video. You're holding. Can you see me now? You're holding a rubber band in your hand. Okay, you're holding a rubber band, and what happens is you'll stretch this rubber band. You'll stretch this rubber band, and at a particular limit, when enough stretching is done, what you'll do is you'll release it. So once you release it, what happens? You'll experience some pressure in your hand, right? That is simply pre-stressing. That is through this rubber band, some force will be transferred to your hand. This hand is your concrete, and it will be transferred to your hand, and that thing is the pre-stressing force. So which will make this rigid thing more compressed. That is, if I am keeping a thing like this, you are having a refill. You're sorry, you're having a thing like this. You're having a thing like this. Suppose I'm applying a load. What happens? It will deflect, right? It will deflect. Suppose I'm applying a force like this. I'm applying a force like this. Now we are applying the load. It will be more stiff than compared to later before case, right? It will be more stiff than before, right? Allay. It will be more stiff than before, right? The same principle is being used here. So what happens is now you see here. Now you see here. What happens when this pre-stressing as a result? What happens? This deflection or this crack deflection will not take place. When this deflection won't take place, what happens? This crack formation will not be taking place, and as a result, the load can be easily carried by this member. Have you understood? Have you understood the basic concept? This is a very basic concept of your pre-stressing. Have you got that? Okay. Now, what we do is, suppose you are having a long span bridge like this. You are having a long span bridge like this. If we were using a normal RCC, then what happens? The depth of the structure should be more. When the depth of the structure should be more means the ships will be going through inside this. As a result, what happens? There won't be enough headroom height. If you are going to increase the height of the pillar, it will be highly uneconomical because we need to increase the height to such a extent that for this much heavy span, the depth should be very much high. And if you are using normal concrete, the depth should be very much high. And the intention of this is the ship should go through inside this. And as a result, we will have to have a lot of material for the construction. For but if we use what pre-stressed concrete, the thickness can be very much reduced. As a result, a lot of material consumption can be reduced, and effectively large span structures can be constructed. So here you can see this was the depth of the structure. A normal RCC would have been this much depth, but we can reduce the depth of the structure, or we can reduce the dimension of the structure. That is a very important one. Suppose in certain structures we require a large span of cantilever. A large span of cantilever is required. Okay, but if you are using your normal RCC, what happens? The depth of the section should be very much large in order to take that much span. But if you are using a pre-stressed concrete, what happens? The depth of the structure can be reduced, and aesthetically it would be very much pleasing. Okay, that's what the advantage of this. That is, I can say the depth can be the total depth of the structure can be reduced. Then longest span can be achieved, and more strength can be achieved. So these three will happen together in case of a pre-stressed concrete, and that is we are seeing here. That is, for a pre-stressed concrete, we can have smaller dimension, we can achieve longer span, and we can at the same time we can achieve more strength also. So now whatever things I have said, I will tell you now. We are having a normal beam like this. You are applying the load from the top. It will deflect like this, right? It will deflect in this way, which means the compression will be at the top and the tension will be at the bottom, and this tension force will create cracks, and the cracks will be generated like this. Now what happens is, I will place the reinforcement, I will apply a tension force like this. Once the tension force is applied like this tension, I'll cut it from here, which means the tensile force is being introduced into this concrete as compressive force, right? Isn't it? Have you got that? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Have you? Others also, please reply. I just want to know this class is live. That's why.
Yes, sir.
So which means, if I am applying a force like this, how is it going to deflect? Can you tell me that? How is it going to deflect? If I am applying a force like this, you are applying a force like compressive force like this. How is it going to deflect? How is the beam going to deflect? You are neglecting the self weight of the structure. You're neglecting the self weight of the structure. How is it going to deflect? It will be deflecting exactly opposite of this, right? Isn't it?
Hogging.
You are seeing one picture here. Yeah, it will be hogging. It will be deflecting exactly opposite of this picture. This is sagging, isn't it? Exactly opposite. The deflection pattern will be, the curvature will be towards the upward, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
The curvature will be, which means due to this compression, the curvature will be upwards. You can see here the compression generated will be in the upward direction, and the load will be acting like this, which means this load, external load, will be counterbalanced by this compressive force, which is generated due to the pre-stressing. Have you understood? That is, due to this pre-stressing force, there will be a compressive force generated, which will try to deflect this beam in this way. And when I am applying an external load, after overcoming this compressive force, only the beam will start to deflect in this pattern. After overcoming this compressive force due to this applied load, only after all the compressive force generated due to this pre-stressing is over, only after that it will start deflecting in the normal or conventional way. Till then, the force which is being externally applied will be taken by this compressive force generated at the bottom. Have you got this? Have you
Yes,
got
sir.
this? You can see in this picture. You can see in this picture there is tension, right? This tension, we won't allow this tension to occur. That's a very simple thing. That is, if this tension occurs only, there will be crack, right? If we intentionally don't allow this tension to occur, what will happen? This crack will not be formed, and as a result, the load will be easily taken. That's what we are doing in pre-stressing. That is, we will not make a zone come like this, a tension zone to develop in this member, and as a result, the member will be totally under compression. It will be totally under compression, and the load, external load that applied will be taken by the concrete. Have you understood? Is it fine? That is a very much basics of your pre-stressing concrete, and we are going to discuss based on these things. So can I move to the next one? Here I'll show you what is the time now, 12:18, right? I'll show you some of the videos because if you watch this, you'll clearly understand. Have you understood the basic concept of this? First of all,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yeah, sir, we understood.
Now I'll just make you watch some videos. Oh, how to do this. You have just understood this pre-stressing. How you are now. I'll tell you how we are going to do this. Okay. There is no enough sound. I will explain this. 1 second. 1 second. It's not the one. This is the same, right? 1 second. So can you see this? So this is we will use this pre-stress concrete mainly for as I have told you, for mainly for these long span bridges and where the span is very much large, or when doing with normal RC sections, the depth or the section becomes very large. Such situations we'll go for this pre-stress concrete. Okay, so you can the normal reinforced structure is not sufficient to take this tensile force which is coming due to the external load. So what we do is for pre-stressing, what we do is you can see here. This is the pre-stressing cable. Okay, we will have two sections like this. This is your frame which is used for casting this pre-stress. Now what I do is I will apply the pre-stressing force like this. See, this was this was your normal road. What I had done, I have stretched it. After that, I have poured the cement. Now once I have poured the concrete here. Once I have poured the concrete and it has attained sufficient strength, now what I do, I will simply simply cut it. So which means when I have simply cut the two tendons from the either side, what happened? There will be the force will be generated like this. The compressive force will be generated from either, and it will be transferred to the concrete. Okay, this is one way of pre-stressing. Can you hear the video sound from the video? Can you hear the sound from the video?
No, sir.
Which means this load, the applied load, will be counterbalanced by this pre-stressing force. That's what I have told you before. You can read this. The pre-stress concrete is that compressive stress induced by the high-strength steel tendons in a concrete member before loads are applied. This pre-stress will balance the stress imposed in the member during the service. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It can be used for the construction of the walls. It can be used for the construction of the walls. It can be used for the construction of the slab. It can be used for the construction of the beam, column, etc. Okay. There are two types of pre-stressing. We will discuss this in detail, but before that, just understand how this is being done. First thing is, we will have the base here. We will place the mold over here. Have you seen the mold while you are doing the concrete lab? You might have seen the mold for a beam, a 50 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter. Have you seen that in your concrete lab? Similarly, we will be placing the mold like this. It is having the strength, the dimension will be the required dimension of the member at last. What we do is we will place the tendon at the required position. We will apply the pre-stressing force. We will keep it like that. We will apply the pre-stressing force like this, and we will keep it like that. After that, what we do is we will pour the concrete. We will pour the concrete into this, and we will do the curing of the concrete. Now, after 28 days or after the required strength is attained, what we do is we will cut it from here. We'll cut it from here and we'll cut it from here. From these two ends, we will cut this, and what happens? The pre-stressing force is induced into the concrete element. So this type of pre-stressing, that is, we are applying the pre-stressing force before the concreting, isn't it? Isn't it? We are applying the pre-stressing before the concreting.
Yes, sir.
That kind of pre-stressing is called pre-tension members. Pre-tension. Pre-tension means what? Pre-tension. Before concreting, we are applying the tension. Now, definitely, then the second type will be what? Pre-tension, and the second one can be what?
Post
The second
tension.
one can be after concreting, right? We are applying the force, pre-stressing force after concreting. That is, it is called as post-tensioning. So you can see here. The pre-stress or the force, as I told you at the beginning, we are holding this rubber band. From the rubber band, the force is exerted into your hand through what? Bond action. Similarly, from this pre-stressing steel, the force or the compressive force is exerted into the concrete through bond action, which means this should have proper bond between these two. So this is pre-tensioning. Now, the second type is the post-tension. That is, we will first place a duct. We will first place a duct into the mold. There won't be any reinforcing steel or pre-tensioning steel, and nothing will be placed. We will be placing a duct into the mold, and we will do the concreting. After the concreting only, we will place the tendons, and we will do all the stressing or tensioning works. First, what we do is The concreting is done by keeping a duct like this. You can see the duct here. Now after that, sheeting is called as duct. Yeah. Now after the ducts or the after concreting is done, what we do is we will place the reinforcement in the duct either by inserting through this side or by inserting through this side. Once this attains enough strength, this concrete attains enough strength, what we do is we will apply the hydraulic from one side. We will apply this tensioning using some hydraulic elements that also we will study later, and the sufficient tension is being achieved. After this, what happens? There is no sufficient bond, right? See here, there is no contact between this reinforcement and this concrete because this is being inside a sheet like this or a duct like this. What we do is we will insert grout in between this duct. That is, we will insert a slurry of cement paste and water into this duct such that there will be sufficient bond between this tension and the concrete reinforcement. So, have you got a rough idea of this? Have you got an idea of this? Okay, now I will give you these three videos. I will make a WhatsApp group. I will provide you these three videos, and after that, watching that video, you'll clearly get this. But before that, I need to go through a thing. That is, whatever you have studied till now, I will make this into an equation form. Okay, can we continue for another 5 more minutes? Is it okay? Is it okay, students? Can we continue for another 5 more minutes?
Yes, sir, it's fine.
Okay. So till now we have discussed this thing. We have understood the concept of this, right? What do you mean by this pre-stressing? So now I will demonstrate. I'll just draw it here. What you have understood, I'll just draw it here. That is, you are having a beam like this. You are having a beam like this. Okay, you are having a beam like this. Now you have placed a duct. We have placed a small duct here. We placed a small duct here. I placed a small duct here. If I am drawing the section of this, it will be like this. The section of this beam is like this, and the duct is at the center of here. We are placing the duct at the center. Suppose. Okay. Now the reinforcement is inserted. The reinforcement is inserted through this duct. The reinforcement is inserted through this duct. Okay. And sufficient grout is also placed, and this is being anchored. At the ends, this is being anchored. Is it okay up to here? You can see the reinforcement also here. Isn't it? Is it okay? Now, due to this pre-stressing force, what happens is the pre-stressing force will be developed like this, right? Suppose this is P, capital P, pre-stressing force is developed like this, which means this will be under a pre-stress force of P by A. Suppose this is P by A, and I will take this compressive force as positive. That is, this beam will be under a an axial compressive force of capital P divided by A. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now what happens is, I had initially done some tensioning of this, right? Suppose that distance is delta L. Whatever tensioning I has done is delta L. The distance or the elongation I had done, I'll take it as delta L is the elongation provided. Elongation provided. Is it okay? Delta L is the elongation provided in steel. Elongation provided in steel. So I can write the total or the strain developed is what? The strain developed I can write as what? The strain developed I can write it as delta L by L, right? This was the actual length. This was the actual length of this. I can write delta L by L, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
So if E suffix S was the Young's modulus of steel, then I could write the stress developed in steel is equal to what? Developed in steel is equal to what? Delta L by L into ES, right? That is your strain into Young's modulus, right? Isn't it? This stress developed is called as, or this stress developed in this is what he has studied till now, and this stress is called as what? This stress which is developed is called as your pre-stress. That is, this stress is called as the called the pre-stress developed in concrete. Have you understood? Have you got this?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Developed is called as the stress developed in concrete or the pre-stress, and the pre-stressing force I could say it as the pre-stressing force I could write it as what? The pre-stressing force in steel I could write it as pre-stressing force in steel I could write as, if this is small p, then the pre-stressing force I could write as small p into the area of steel, right? That is, I will not it as capital P. That is, I can write this capital P as delta L by L into ES. That is your stress into area of steel, right? So if I apply this much amount of force into this member, if I apply the capital P amount of force, that is your pre-stressing force into member, this much amount of pre-stressing will be taken by the concrete, isn't it?